Done. Now the interesting part. Gears. First, the mechanism to select gears. This thing with this thing. The image shows two washers with a O-ring. I tried that, but it seemed to be a little sloppy. I tried adding another one and it did work. So I'm going to stick with what they have told. You see this shaft here, selector shaft, has a bit of a slack. So replace with this one. The shapes are a bit different, but they will match. See, much tighter fit, no slack. The gear selector pins and their sub clips for replacing these, but the ones here are good enough, so I'm going to save this for the next time. The bolt which is supposed to go here is a special kind. Its head is much shallower than normal, so if you lose one of these, do not replace with whatever you get. Find at least a Allen head bolt. I tried to add another O-ring to the bottom because this ridge looks like it was meant to have it, but I just could not do it once. It went inside there, so leaving my extra modifications. The first washer of the two. The second with the new O-ring. This goes from behind. Okay, finally I was able to put the shaft in. The lay shaft selected in second gear. This shaft inserted to be straight to this stud. If it's not set this way, there is a chance that when you select top gear, the gear selector might actually hit the case. And yes, I had to remove the hub to put this because it was the gear shiftings are good. Right now, first gear. Top gear. Third. Second. Neutral and first. Neutral. A lubed bearing needle and the thrust washer. Thrust washer. Thrust washer. And the gear cluster. The top gear. The flat side goes towards the bearing. The markings are to be facing on the top. The third gear, these oil slots go this way. The second gear, same thing, oil passage. Oh, it's in second. Neutral engaged. The unique, first gear. Notice the difference in height of lay shaft with the actual gear. That's because to add a shim. The next thing is the shim. Shimming of a gearbox is a science altogether. It's simple but necessary. Proper shimming will allow you to precisely shift gears, reduce wear and tear. I don't know. If the company recommends it, that's what you do. So let's do it. The spec sheet says a 2 mm gear shim, which is this. And what was in the vehicle was this, which is 2.7. But that was in the vehicle, so I'll start with that. I also have got another one which is 2. So if that didn't work out, I have something that will. The gear plate which goes on top of this. I went ahead and changed the bushing because this was how it looked. This is a new one. Just tightening with the inner hub to pull the gear cluster towards me. Now that the gear plate is almost fit, it's time to tighten it properly. There is a sequence to do that. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the shim gap spectrum for a standard 4-speed gearbox, 0.07 to 0.30, and you should aim to be mostly towards this side. The gear plate bolts stock properly with a shim of 2.7 millimeters. I have a shim gap of 0.09 mm, which is good, near to the 0.07 starting range. But if it was not so for you and you had to order these shims off the internet, there is a simple calculation which will help you a lot. See, whatever you measure with the shim becomes the total space. So total available space minus your desired gap, which would be 0.07, will give you the maximum shim size. Similarly, if you remove the max gap from the total available space, you get the minimum shim size. Simple. Moving on to the clutch. There is a 0.8 mm clutch shim, and the one I have is 0.8. Great. The clutch pocket, which was in this, is a riveted type, but had developed valleys, which is not good. So I'm going to replace with this, a solid type, no rivets, which even has 46 teeth written on it. And this is exactly same as the old one. So I wonder how many teeth are there in this. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The clutch inner hub does not have those values, but has slack. So I'm going to replace this with this. The copper bushing. Coming to the drive side, first the oil thrower, which you asked me should be called the oil catcher. On that, you remember this, don't you? Yes. And the front sprocket. Now, why are those pockets on here without the chain? To check if they are aligned, which they are. If they were not, it would eat up the chain quickly. And in case if it was not, this side is fixed. You can go for a different thickness oil thrower, but it's hard to find. But that side, remember the 0.8 mm shim? You can vary that to get these pockets aligned. Oil thrower washer. The French pocket, the passage for the oil, and orientation. Next, the sliding door. Then comes the spring, the hat, and the bolt. I just have to tighten it up. I went ahead and installed the chain guides, the chain. Now the thing remaining is to add tab washer. I have got a new one, but the old one is, I think, can be reused. There is a protruding rivet on the, what do you call this, the inner clutch hub. It goes there. The old nut, that's going to be replaced with the new one. Tighten these both. Done. Next, clutch, chain case cover, ignition timings, and this engine is done.